Hello, everybody. Today is our wine course 40, and we're going to be talking about Burgundy this time. So, in terms of Burgundy, let me go ahead and share out and give me a thumbs up as soon as you see the screen. All right. So, places we're going to be talking about today are Burgundy and Champagne. So, not that. So it's going to be this area and this area. So pretty much, other than Alsace, it's the furthest east of the wine regions for France. Now, just a little bit about kind of like Burgundy and some of the words that you might be thinking about or seeing on some of the labels. So AOC. Change over to that. So your AOC is kind of like your like a controlling quality, and as you can kind of see there from the quality levels, they start at the top. I usually, because 50% of wine is AOC, and it's actually most of the stuff that comes over to the States anyway. That's what I usually like to start with. So down at the bottom, 50% of the wine. Lots of restrictions for AOC, which is Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée. And like 100% of the grapes stated for that place must be from that region, and they have like a higher quality and guarantee of what you see on the label is in the bottle. There's also aging restrictions, how you can grow your vines or irrigate, and there's a minimum and maximum alcohol content. It's why many say that the French style is kind of hamstrung, and there really isn't a lot of room for like experimentation. Then you have your IGP or Vin de Paix, and that's 30% of your French wines. Far less restrictions. They allow for kind of hybrids, and only 85% of a stated region, their grapes have to be in that bottle. And then the last 20%, you can usually see these with Languedoc and maybe even Gigondas wines, that they'll just say like Vin de France. And pretty much, wherever they can get grapes, they'll throw it into the bottle. Now, but first, we're going to be talking about Burgundy and kind of just a little bit of the history behind it before we dive into each of the regions for the wines that we have. So for the longest time, throughout the Dark Ages and whatnot, like Benedictine and Cistercian monasteries owned a lot of Burgundy. And monks with records going back to like the 11th century would study the vineyards and identify like what the superior plots were. Though this was great right up until about the 1800s, when Napoleon came marching through and just took it all. Took it away from all the monasteries. That it's sort of mine now, and he would sell chunks of it or reward chunks of it to owners. Now, what was even crazier is that he instituted a system of inheritance that would split the land amongst all of the sons. And so, you got, if you had 10 sons, especially back in those days where, you didn't know how many were actually going to make it through to, actual adulthood. When you died, your maybe 1 acre all of a sudden got chopped up 10 different ways, and now all of a sudden there's 10 different owners with much smaller plots, and it just kept dividing that way. But what would happen is that some of them would still kind of bond together, and they would put a wall around that particular section, and those were called clos, C-L-O-U or C-O-L-S, clos, which means wall. And they would get like a quality rating for that parcel within that clos. And so pretty much that's kind of it for just Burgundy in general. Just know that all of the little plots that are on there have been divided so many times, and then kind of brought back together at other times, depending on who's buying, who's selling, whatnot. I'm not even sure if that inheritance rule is still in place or not, but yeah. So the first that we're going to be going over tonight is our Meili Grand Cru Reserve Champagne. So even though it's not really Burgundy, but in comparison to the rest of France, I mean, as you can kind of see right here, this is Chablis, and right north of that is Champagne. So if there's really anything that is the closest to Champagne, it's pretty much Burgundy. Now Champagne is, when it starts, it's fermented dry and still, just like every other wine. But after it's put into its final bottle, they add a touch of sugar to wake back up the yeast. And that yeast produces CO2 bubbles and a typically bready odor and flavor. And everywhere that makes sparkling wine outside of Champagne can't be called Champagne. Now, a typical word that you'll see, especially in bubbly wines from France, is Cremant, C-R-E-M-A-N-T. And on that note, let's go ahead and, if you haven't already opened your Champagne, this will be when we do it. Now, just always as a word of caution when you're opening one of these things, is I always like to use a little serviette, a towel, and grab onto it. That way, your cork doesn't go everywhere. Now, I mean, and this is a Grand Cru, so this is supposed to be kind of like in the highest of quality vineyards for Champagne. Now, this doesn't actually have a particular type to it. Usually with Champagne, it's made of 3 different grapes: Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. And usually, if it doesn't say like Blanc de Nuit or Blanc de Blanc, it's usually a combination of those 3. So let's go ahead and give this thing a pour. Now, I know a lot of people like to use just like champagne flutes, but I kind of avoid using those just because you're not able to do the swirl, get your nose really down in there, because it's pretty narrow. So that's just my preference, but I know a lot of people out there still like to use their flutes. But as for the sight on this, I mean, this is definitely on that clear straw yellow. Oh, actually, I forgot. I need to stop sharing. I can actually see each other. So let's go ahead and give this thing a bit of a swirl and a sniff. And what are we getting on the nose? You don't want to shake this one too much. You don't want to lose all those, wonderful bubbles. Like maybe some grapefruit, a little bit of pear.
A little bit of peach.
Okay, so you're getting a little bit of stone fruit. Okay. And just a touch of like that yeasty bread, like brioche. Well, Oh, we hear you now.
We got pear and apple and honey. Anything else?
Oh, you got honey.
Yes.
Okay. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and see if our palates match our noses. So, cheers.
Air comes through, but I got that citrus, like almost coming.
Yeah, there is a little bit of citrus in that.
For a brut, this is not as, I don't know. It doesn't feel as dry as I was expecting.
It is kind of sweet, but not like sweet. It's just.
It's round. It's not as acidic.
Yeah.
And it almost has like a odd earthy note to it. Yeah, I'm definitely much more on that kind of like green apple and pear. But then let's go ahead and see how this thing pairs with some of the food out there. Yeah, I've been really excited because, well, I had to teach myself how to shuck oysters, and because raw oysters actually with both the
blue, yeah.
Both the champagne and the Chablis are both excellent with raw oysters.
You don't do oysters, Rob?
I don't know how to serve oysters, but I would be glad to eat
And
some.
you're gonna stack it with a fork.
Okay.
You can put them on a saltine if you'd like.
Okay.
I mean, I put like a squeeze of lemon, and it's mostly like that salinity, plus that citrus really makes this champagne pop.
Okay with
The scallop meat. It has one of those.
Really?
I mean, like, even though I hate, like deep sea fish, the thing to have with champagne is supposed to be caviar, and that's because that kind of like brininess plus the fattiness,
Really?
the champagne kind of like washes it away, but again leaves that kind of minerality in your mouth.
Maybe. It's really good with the scallops.
They're really big, you might cut in half.
Wow.
Yeah, those are humongous. Thank you.
It is a very big oyster.
Yes, they're good.
Biggest ones I've ever seen.
Ew, sorry, they're dog.
They're kind of big.
Yeah, Richard, this is a real nice find, this champagne. We're avowed Widow fans, and this is every bit as good as that champagne, and it's $15 less a bottle. We're enjoying it with one of Laura's baked bries. Instead of using apricot, she used a wonderful rosemary grapefruit jam.
Okay.
And it really pairs well with this because it's not too sweet and it's not too dry.
Yeah, well, I mean, cost-wise, well, because I'm guessing when you say the Widow, it would be Madame Clicquot.
Oh, yes.
Well, because Dom Perrier also has a Perignon has a one called their Grand Dame, which is like even their higher end. But no, I mean, I'm also a real big fan of Veuve Clicquot. But yeah, this I really like as well. And I mean, I don't know if yours is a split. Was yours 375 or did you get a 750? Okay. So,
but
I mean,
it's really, I mean, this wasn't even on our radar at all. And, you know, our taste for champagne are fairly specific. A lot of the sweeter champagnes we're not into, and we're very much not into the overly dry ones. And this is right in the sweet spot, and it's a really good quality, and it's not expensive either.
Yeah.
Really good with the oyster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, as I was just going through like all the champagnes and, you know, saw this one, it was like at least user rated pretty well, but then I went on Vivino and this thing was like 4.1, 4.2. I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely a keeper, you know, like a little secret that you keep in your pocket and you don't let this get out into public so that it can stay at this price.
When I walked into Total Wine and I gave him my list, the guy was like, oh, this is the best. I mean, he was like, I will get whatever you want. And then I was like, okay, one. He's like, only one.
Well, what can I say? I know my wine. I also made some scallops with some zucchini spirals. That was just clean. That was, but that's why I usually expect for a champagne is that whatever you have with it, you know, it's going to do like some interaction, but for the most part, it's really just going to just cleanse your palate of whatever you have.
Huh?
Champagne's right here.
I mean, if we don't drink it all, you want to save it to the end or whatever.
Oh, you drink it all. Yeah, I just save it. Is there some left?
I mean, save it to the evening. So later, dessert.
All right.
Lunch is that.
How's everyone's glasses? We about ready to move on to the Chablis?
What are you having for dinner? And I was like, my name was like, yeah, what are you having for dinner?
Okay.
My husband was like,
I see a lot of empty glasses. So
I stopped by and just on the way home.
our next wine that we'll be having, let me share my screen back out. So, we're here way up north. So actually, let me pull up this Burgundy. So you see Burgundy here. So as you can see, Burgundy, way up north. So I mean, this is you know quite a few miles. Is our little plot of Chablis, and all they grow there is Chardonnay. And so as you can look here, you can kind of see, you know, wherever, most of it's just Chablis, but you can also see the area that's Grand Cru, which is designated as, you know, the best vineyards for that region. And then there's the Premier Cru, which is also you'll see as like 1ER Cru, like first Cru, and the rest of them past that, you know, you'll have your Petit Chablis, which is, you know, just anything below Premier, but not just part of, you know, this area here, which is just, you know, what you would just consider normal Chablis, not part of it like any village or anything. So let's go ahead and pour our Domaine de Chenevieres. Which is right here, has a very particular label to it, that little circle with the green dot in the middle. No matter which quality of it that is out there, they all seem to be, you know, they all seem to have kind of the same label to them. we're looking at this one, this one, as much as I want to call it, it's more like a pale yellow. It's definitely not straw. It's got a little bit richer color to it. Am I seeing things that other people aren't?
Confirmed.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and give this thing a swirl. And let's go ahead and take a sniff of this. So what are we getting on the nose here? Now, just a little extra bit about Chablis. So that region, the grapes are grown in the soil's this stuff called Chenevieres clay, which is essentially the place was a fossil bed, and all that limestone really imparts a lot of distinct flavors for Chablis. So just kind of remember that part as we're going through with this. So yeah, what are we kind of smelling on this? I mean, I'm getting a little bit of apple, pear.
I'm getting just a smidge of the stone fruit again and some grass.
Oh, you're getting a little bit of green. Okay. Like this, I'm getting that. I'm getting honey. Like I wasn't as much getting it on the champagne, but I am definitely getting honey on this one.
Yeah, definitely there.
Oh, well, let's give this thing a taste. So, cheers. Now, I mean, I'll admit, for the longest time, I thought I was just always going to hate Chardonnay until I met Chablis, because this Chablis, I don't think there has been a bad Chablis that I've ever had. But what are we getting on the palate?
That honey on the palate is amazing.
Hey, Richard, is this oaked or unoaked?
Typically these should not, like Chablis on their top tier, they'll have a little bit of oak, but all of your lower tiered wines, you know, unless it says like, you know, Premier Cru, Reserve, something like that, more than likely these haven't really touched oak.
Is like steel commonly used in France, or are they using concrete still?
No, I don't think they've ever used. I mean, concrete's been a very recent thing. And I think some of them are starting to use that, but for the most part, it's always been stainless steel.
Yeah, the label agrees with you, Richard. The back of the label says it's stainless steel vats.
Oh.
So.
I think this was surprisingly good. But I could really smell the alcohol, and at first I could taste the alcohol.
Okay, so for you, it's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But surprisingly, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely like pear, white nectarine, and then right at the end, I get that kind of like wet granite. All right, well, let's let us see what it pairs with. I mean, it's mostly going to pair with the same things as the champagne, just because, I mean, you know, a lot of that almost same qualities of the Chardonnay that's that's sometimes mostly in champagne is going to be almost the same qualities here. So a lot of things that matched up with the Champagne, you should be able to match up with Chablis. But even more so, again, like the oysters, shellfish, things like that. But also for cheeses, brie is particularly excellent with it.
We're actually having exactly the opposite effect. The brie that we had that works so well with the Champagne, it's not working as well with this.
Interesting.
Because of we think it's because of the grapefruit jam. You know, the citrus doesn't work as well with the second wine.
Oh, that is quite different. So my experience with the raw oysters with the Champagne, it produced a little bit of minerality, mostly a lot of that, more like that salinity, but it was clean. This, I mean, it all of a sudden just turned into like limestone. Like I was licking, you know, like the seafloor bed. That is. I'm not sure if I like it, but it is interesting.
So we don't have the same wine that you have.
Oh yeah, because you have the Beaujolais.
Yes, which is just lovely. It's like, what did you say, Kurt? Peachy, stone fruit?
Yeah.
Lots of stone fruit? Minerally?
Minerally, it's got that chalky, like, old world.
Drop
That's
you
like
notes?
the big thing, like, you really make a lot of wines, that big thing, that's incredible.
Big thing.
It's very good. It's pairing well with Rachel made these amazing scalloped potatoes, and
I will never use another recipe again for these scalloped potatoes.
We share that in the group.
Oh, one other small bit of trivia that I'd forgotten to mention about Champagne was that World War One, that area of Champagne was like brutally fought over, and you know, some say that the thousands of soldiers that died in that area are what make the wine grapes there delicious.
Ew. Like the extra body flavor.
Extra calcium.
The tears of the soldiers.
Champagne amazing, like back in Roman times.
No, in World War One.
I mean, it could have been the nitrogen from the explosives. I mean, nitrogen helps plants.
Oh yeah, that too.
Maybe it was all the ammunition that caused the
a little extra white phosphorus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always thought that was kind of an interesting thing about Champagne, that you know it's so celebrated, yet you know, you look at it like it's dark history of, you know, that like really brutal wars, you know, had been fought over that particular area. You know, even though Alsace is kind of like the place that, you know, it swapped hands multiple times. You know, it was French, then it was German, then it was French again, and so they just have like a really mixed you know, culture, and the way that they make their wine is kind of a combination of both. But there wasn't a lot of fighting there, but there was in Champagne. All right. How's everyone's glasses? We about ready? everyone is filling up the glass. Let me go back to sharing. Okay, so again, here we are in Burgundy, or Bourgogne. And now we're going to be moving way south. So way up north in Chablis. Now we're going to be way south down here in Beaujolais. Now, that southern part of Burgundy, well, I mean, as you get southern, more south, it's also going to be a lot warmer. It grows a very specific type of grape that you really don't see much anywhere else. And that's Gamay. I always get excited because there's this like marketing event every year on the third Thursday of November, where they release something called Beaujolais Nouveau, like new Beaujolais, and they're meant to be drunk between pretty much when they release till May, when the really good stuff actually gets released. It goes through something called carbonic maceration, where instead of crushing the grapes and fermenting the juice, they actually allow the juice to ferment while in the grape before crushing, resulting in something that's fruity with low tannins, but it also really doesn't age well. Even though I religiously buy this stuff every year, but every year I also dump like 7/8 of the bottle because it kind of tastes terrible. It tastes like somewhere between like rotten banana and bubble gum.
Why do you get it?
Because it's tradition.
Okay.
Now,
Richard, you have to be careful talking to people who grow tropical fruits in their yard, talking about rotten tropical fruits.
Okay. Now, like Corey, he actually had like 2 different versions of Beaujolais, but they were both from Louis Jadot. Now, Louis Jadot isn't like an actual. They don't really own vineyards. They're what's known as the négociant. Now, again, some of you with the multiple bottles, what those négociants do is they buy grapes or even finished wine and blend it into like a bottle under their own name. Now, usually they have like higher production value, which leads to cheaper choices for the quality and higher priced wines. But like Louis Jadot has been around since like the 1850s. So, I mean, they almost kind of like cornered the market. Like as soon as Napoleon came through and started carving all these places up, they were like, well, we can't own all of this land, but we'll sure buy all of your wine and, make good stuff with it. And they're really kind of known for bringing a lot of that good wine to the States. And that's why you'll see a lot of wines, produced by Louis Jadot. Now, the difference between, I think, Corey, you actually had like one that says just Beaujolais and one that says Beaujolais Village. And really, as you can kind of see from this map here, well, I mean, the entire region is Beaujolais, but for the Beaujolais Village is only this little area right there. So it has very particular qualities. It's usually because it's limited to this place. It usually has they report it to have kind of like better quality. But enough talking. Let's drink it. So let's go ahead and pour our Beaujolais Village Louis Jadot. What's weird though is that, Beaujolais being way far south, we'll be talking about Côte d'Ivoire, but part of that is Beaune, and you see down at the bottom, Louis Jadot, Beaune, France. which means they are located up in that northern region of Burgundy. Yet they get all the grapes and wine from way down south. So when you see, Blue Jadot, Beaune France, it's that, don't think that, well, it says it's Beaujolais, but Beaune doesn't produce Beaujolais. No, it's because, they just get it, vin it, whatever, bottle it up north. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, yeah, I was gonna say red, but this is actually a little bit darker than I was expecting.
Is it like strawberry licorice flavor? It's really sweet. Where's the licorice? I forgot her.
Yeah, it's got a. I mean, it's.
For the last like.
I want to almost say it's like a light ruby.
And strawberry, right?
Chocolate oil is
So let's go ahead and give this thing a swirl and see what we got on the nose. All right, what are people smelling on this one?
Sugar.
Sugar?
It's so sweet. I can't get past that, so I'm having a hard time. I think, honestly, it smells like strawberry licorice.
Yeah, I mean, it is very jammy.
Yeah, it's jammy. But it's not jammy. It's like candy. Oh, the jam smells more like fruit than it does sugar, and this is.
I also have some jam.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm getting kind of like black cherry, a little bit of raspberry.
Cranberry.
Cranberry? Okay.
I like cranberry.
Used to be.
Hey, Richard, here's your off-the-wall assessment. I'm getting caramel.
Caramel? Okay.
Yes, caramel is what we said first.
So there's definitely like a sugar, some weird sugar note.
Brown sugar, like cooked sugar.
Okay. Wow, like that cooked thing to me. The more that I smell at it, it almost smells a bit like it's almost like they sprinkled a little bit like coffee beans.
Yep, I get some of that too.
Well, let's see if our I'm going to guess that this thing should be done completely dry. So whatever we're smelling sweet wise, we are not going to be getting on the palate. But let's give it a shot. Cheers. And this is why I will always prefer Gamay over Pinot Noir, because it's effectively like all the good things about a Pinot Noir without the dirt.
Okay, so the chicken was made in a Pinot Noir because the other Gamay that you have there, the guy at the wine store said, you can't cook with this. It's like I need a cooking. It's like,
no,
it's fine. So you had the Pinot Noir that this was cooked in when you came in.
Mm-hmm.
How would you compare that one to this one?
Oh, that was a long time ago, Bert.
And that was a Burgundy Pinot Noir. It was from right here. It's their neighbor.
It was good. It was a really good Pinot Noir, and I don't really like Pinot Noir that
But
much.
it's not an Oregon Pinot Noir. Like it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it was very good. This is.
So We actually
The trick.
we cooked our chicken in the non-village wine, and it tastes very much like the wine. It's very odd.
Go with potatoes.
So in terms of flavor,
Like I'm getting mushroom. I feel earthy.
you're getting earthy. Okay. I mean, I'm just getting kind of like fresh fruit.
Cherries.
Yeah, it's that same kind of like cherry and almost like pomegranate
Yeah.
with like at the end, just like a touch of spice.
So I also had to comment earlier, when I smelled the wine, it sort of like burned my nose in a way that I feel like made my smell go away, which is weird. I've never had that before. I might be allergic to this one.
Anytime we all see the same with it, I don't know what happened, but it was very pronounced.
That is slimy, didn't he?
All right. Well, let's see how it pairs with some of the food out there. I would guess that, I mean, you know, something much along the same lines as we've been having, but with like, as long as it's got like some kind of tomato, yeah. Oh, well, and also like the coq au vin.
Yeah, we switched from our brie to the sopressata and the bacon, and that absolutely unlocks the flavor.
Great. So a little bit. So okay. I'd be curious about the bacon.
Again.
If you eat it with a chocolate covered cherry, it totally brings out the cherry in that taste.
I'm jealous. Yum, I'd love to try that.
But you know, like Beaujolais, or pretty much, yeah, your Beaujolais and your Pinots are supposed to be kind of like that. You know, they're supposed to bridge the gap between like
Oh, look at that new book.
rich fish and kind of like lean red.
Oh.
And so like all of your porks, ducks, you know, on that side, plus all of your, you know, like salmon, yeah, rich fish are, and so it's supposed to be able to cover all of those. So
Good with this sun-dried tomato.
sounds like it's going pretty well, but it also goes well with just cured meat.
I don't know what the terminology is, Richard, but you know I always look at these things from a beer drinker standpoint. If you're familiar with the beer, do you know the Duchess Bourgogne?
The Duchess Bourgogne, no.
Used to be.
It's a beer that is really great to have with a steak, because there's a flavor in the beer that makes it taste like meat. And when you eat meats with this Beaujolais, it absolutely changes the flavor and skews it that way.
So any other winners besides the sopressata?
Pepperoni's, like just straight pepperoni's phenomenal.
Okay. How we looking? I still see a few glasses full, so we'll give it a little bit more time. And a little bit of that wine went down the wrong pipe, so I'm all of a sudden got a voice like a 14-year-old boy.
Carry down the wrong pipe. That had to hurt.
Yeah. Oh. All right, well, as we finish up there, we move on to our last wine of the night, which is our Pinot Noir, which is going to come from this Côte d'Or. Now, Côte means the side, or refers to like the hillside or a slope, and d'Or means of gold. So this area pretty much translates into something like golden slope or gold coast. Now, Côte d'Or is kind of split up into two regions, Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune. And since our Pinot will always come from Beaune, so that's where you kind of see here. But also be aware that Côte de Nuit has the Vasny Romany vineyard, which is home of Domaine Romany Conti, belovedly called DRC, which is some of the most expensive wine in the world. But both places make mostly just Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. But as you can kind of see here, there's some very particular like areas that are big, which is like the Pouligny, Montrachet. Pretty much anything, as soon as you see Montrachet, you know that that is some real quality stuff. But most of the stuff that we'll be kind of going through is going to be up here, because, well, anything that's less than, I don't know, $40 is probably going to be, up north. So let's go ahead and pour our last wine of the night, our Ropiteau Pinot Noir Reserve 2020. So somewhat new. Now this kind of place, this one's much more on that like clear red. It's actually less dark than our Beaujolais, which is kind of interesting. But okay, well, let's give it a swirl and a sniff. What are we getting on the nose here?
This one kind of smells like strawberry.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say strawberry, a little bit cherry. Now, the weird thing is that I'm not getting a lot of like soil earth from this one. I'm actually getting kind of like a little bit sweet, almost like tobacco leaf. Anyone else getting anything else on this wine? Okay.
I don't know.
kind of, I mean, to me, it seems just a straightforward wine, but I'm actually, it's colored me intrigued just from the nose, because again, you know, the whole reason why I don't like Pinots are that they mostly smell of like mushrooms and dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't stink.
No. So
It's kind of mild smelling.
yeah, it's like a freshly picked strawberry. So, all right, well, let's give this thing a taste. So, cheers.
It's definitely got a fruity taste.
Yeah.
I really had to readjust my palate by having a piece of bacon and a rosemary cracker, because when I first smelled and tasted this wine after drinking the Beaujolais, it tasted and smelled completely weird to me. And then after resetting the palate, now I'm getting the mushrooms and, you know, the dark cherries, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, is anyone else getting a lot of like soil and mushroom on this? I mean, because I'm not, but
So I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of like baking spice and cherry, like dark. Yeah, but not. I can smell the mushrooms and the soil, and I can smell the tobacco, but in the taste, it's like super baking spice and. Yeah. That cherry is intense.
Cherry. Yeah. Black cherry.
This thing really well with the steak.
yeah, that is some just, I don't know, but I mean, I love just a really good dark cherry, and this tastes of just like pure dark cherry juice.
Yeah,
with the chocolate covered cherry, it tastes.
Oh, try with the chocolate on that.
It tastes more like strawberry than it does cherry, like the last one.
Okay.
What is this flavor of this Ghirardelli?
It's got salted. Salted
I don't know.
Oh, I threw it back. Yeah, it's salted.
Foil.
I think it's a salted almond.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so the question is, how did the how did the bacon and other cured meats work with this?
Just take a nibble of the peels. Don't eat the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, the game starts soon.
Corey, is the Coq au vin also working with this as well?
I haven't paired it with this yet because we're still actually finishing the Beaujolais, and now we're just.
Gotcha. See,
Someone says it tastes like pickles so far, so.
Pickles? What?
Pickles.
What?
I have pickles.
So, is it the salinity or
Try the.
like actual dill?
Try it. So we were pairing with pickles of the previous wine, so try it. It's interesting.
Bert, have you met me? Why did you give me all this food?
I'm actually curious why, like, did you try the pickles with the whites?
Because delicious.
We've been trying pickles with every single one. It's really good. And they're like sweet, sweet pickles.
Okay.
But it is like I'm putting my leftovers in that dish after I take out half of it and or whoever else. And I took out like a third of it.
Man, the earthiness
to give
and
it
the
that.
cocoa bean and the mushrooms. Wow.
Like, it's really good. I think I could on it.
Wait.
This is the right wine for the cocoa bean.
So Rob, you're actually getting a lot more earthy notes from this?
Yeah, and so Kurt made a cocktail van with mushrooms and carrots, and I'm really getting a nice pairing.
And garlic.
Yeah, the garlic and the mushroom and the carrots and the potatoes and the what do you call those, pearl onions really pair well with this wine. It's an excellent food pairing.
Yeah, I guess what I keep finding as like sweet leaf tobacco, I guess you're more seen as or tasting as like more mushroomy soil.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, so Julia Child didn't put carrot in her coconut. I'm just telling you, I called the audible there.
Oh, that's a Kurt addition.
Try the chocolate sauce. It's pretty
Oh, and the
nice.
pear, okay.
I don't know about the pear, but the chocolate sauce. Looks really good.
So do you want to do one of the normal chocolates with it?
Oh yeah. The chocolate sauce? The chocolate sauce is good. There's more just chocolate sauce. I've got so
I
much.
don't know, I think that might be well, I want to say that I had like one Pinot Noir up in Oregon that I actually liked. This has actually kind of made me
Chocolate. It's
again
not-
change my my whole opinion on that all Pinot Noir is terrible.
So
Yeah,
the
this isn't bad.
chocolate sauce is.
So this is phenomenal with the cocoa bean. Like it's very good with the chicken and even the mushrooms from it too.
And butter.
We also made a cowboy ribeye steak, and it's really nice with the steak too.
Okay. It doesn't like the steak doesn't overpower it.
I don't think so. I think that the steak kind of brings out actually some of the fruit. It's got a soy and sugar caramel glaze.
Okay.
So that kind of sweetens it and makes the fruit kind of pop.
Ah.
No calories.
No, they're always broken. They fell out.
72%.
So, well, I mean, we're kind of at the end here, so I was going to kind of ask. Well, I have two choices for our next wine tasting. We're either going to go back to Washington State, or get a raise of hands of who all has a Costco membership, and we see just how much hidden quality is in the Costco Kirkland brands.
Oh, let's do that one. Yeah.
But wait, don't we think that Costco's different from every store?
They're
Kirkland.
Kirkland brand.
Kirkland brand.
The Kirkland brand is
That's a really clever idea. I like that
All right, I
idea.
got a couple in there.
Will that work if
No,
we're
wine
talking
store
about